Every generation of riders searches for a machine that speaks to both power and precision. Something that feels alive under throttle yet balanced enough to handle real roads, not just straight lines. It is the meeting point between raw attitude and calculated engineering that defines true performance heritage. In the early 1980s, a certain American motorcycle broke that boundary. It looked familiar yet felt like nothing the company had ever built before. It took the spirit of rebellion and translated it into handling, turning an old-school brand into a new kind of contender. That machine would divide loyalists, inspire builders, and decades later, still ride like it had something to prove. The story of how it came to be is more than a tale of chrome and horsepower. It is about survival, innovation, and the courage to evolve when tradition said stay still. Stick around, hit like, subscribe, and drop in the comments which classic motorcycle you want covered next. In 1984, Harley-Davidson introduced the FXR, a motorcycle that would quietly challenge everything people thought they knew about the brand. This was not a simple refresh of a cruiser or a styling experiment meant to fill showroom space. It was the result of years of frustration within Harley's engineering department. The company had just regained independence from corporate ownership, morale was low, and Japanese manufacturers were producing machines that outperformed Harley in every measurable category. The FXR emerged from that pressure cooker as a calculated attempt to blend the timeless rumble of a V-twin with chassis precision usually reserved for sportier machines. It was an act of rebellion from within. A motorcycle designed not by marketing committees but by riders and engineers who wanted to restore credibility on the open road. The design philosophy behind the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR centered on one radical idea for the time. Frame stiffness equals rider confidence. Harley engineers understood that their heavyweight cruisers flexed under load, causing a vague feeling in corners and at high speeds. The FXR addressed that issue directly with a new triangulated steel frame developed through computer analysis and real-world road testing. The result was a bike that could carve through turns with composure, while retaining the unmistakable heartbeat of the Evolution engine. The engineering team tested different materials, adjusted weld points, and optimized the swing arm pivot to minimize flex without adding unnecessary weight. Every millimeter was reconsidered to make the FXR handle predictably under both heavy acceleration and long-distance cruising. The Evolution engine itself was more than an update. It symbolized a turning point in Harley-Davidson's modern identity. Introduced in the FXR, the new power plant used aluminum heads and cylinders to improve cooling efficiency and reliability. Gone were the oil leaks and unpredictable vibrations that plagued earlier shovelhead designs. The Evolution made the FXR not only faster but also smoother, and that combination created a sensation many riders had never experienced on an American V-twin. It was the mechanical equivalent of finding rhythm where chaos used to live. The FXR's engine geometry delivered steady torque across the rev range, and the improved oil circulation system allowed for long-distance comfort without constant tuning or maintenance. What truly set the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR apart, however, was how it made riders feel once in motion. It responded to body input like a much lighter motorcycle. It leaned intuitively and tracked clean lines through corners. Riders who were used to the slower steering of traditional Harleys found the FXR shockingly agile. It retained that deep exhaust note and visceral character, yet combined it with a sense of control that invited confidence rather than demanded compromise. For many, it was the first time they felt a Harley could be both rebellious and refined. The FXR became a statement piece for those who valued riding dynamics as much as identity. Still, that balance came with controversy. Within Harley's loyal customer base, some saw the FXR as too progressive. They believed the company was drifting from the heavyweight cruiser formula that defined its image. Others embraced it as proof that Harley could innovate without losing its soul. Dealers struggled to categorize it. It wasn't a pure cruiser, nor a sport bike, nor a touring machine. It was a hybrid long before that term became popular in motorcycling circles. Inside the company, this division reflected a broader philosophical question. Could Harley-Davidson modernize without alienating its base? The FXR embodied that tension perfectly. Behind the scenes, Harley engineers pushed for higher manufacturing standards to match the FXR's technical ambitions. The assembly process required tighter tolerances and improved quality control, something the company had not prioritized during earlier production runs. The newly structured frame and engine combination forced Harley to rethink tooling, welding, and even final inspection procedures. Each FXR that rolled off the line represented not only a product but also a signal that Harley was adapting to a changing market. It demonstrated that the company could pursue mechanical excellence without surrendering character. By the time the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR reached showrooms, it carried the weight of immense expectations. Riders expecting a flashy update were surprised by the bike's understated appearance. The magic was hidden in its geometry, its vibration isolation system, and its confident composure on open roads. Motorcycle journalists noticed immediately. They praised the FXR's handling, calling it one of the most balanced Harleys ever built. Some reviewers noted that, for the first time, Harley-Davidson could go head-to-head with high-performance cruisers from abroad without excuses. The FXR did not just restore pride, it redefined it. The ergonomics were another subtle innovation. Engineers used data from long-distance riders to fine-tune handlebar placement, seat height, and foot controls, creating a riding triangle that worked equally well for short sprints and highway hauls. The balance of comfort and responsiveness encouraged longer rides and wider exploration. It was not a bike meant to sit idle in garages. It was engineered to be ridden, to reveal its depth one curve at a time. In many ways, the FXR spoke directly to riders who had grown weary of choosing between style and function. It invited them to have both. The impact extended beyond performance metrics. The FXR helped shift Harley-Davidson's internal culture from reactive to proactive engineering. After years of defending tradition against global competition, the company was now innovating from a position of confidence. The FXR showed that American design could evolve without losing authenticity. It did not chase trends. It set new expectations. Even within the constraints of classic V-twin architecture, it managed to introduce sophistication through structural integrity rather than electronic intervention. That simplicity, rooted in mechanical precision, became its hallmark. When the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR debuted, it was easy to overlook how much was at stake. Harley was not merely launching another model. It was testing the future of its identity. If the FXR failed, it could have confirmed critics' claims that the company was out of touch with performance demands. If it succeeded, it would signal that Harley could merge emotion with precision engineering. The response from riders proved that risk worthwhile. The FXR not only delivered on its promise but created a loyal following that saw in it the possibility of progress without compromise. Its story had only just begun, and its influence would continue shaping Harley's direction for years to come. By 1984, the Harley-Davidson FXR was already a technical marvel within the company's lineup, but its significance deepened over the following years. It wasn't just the frame or the evolution engine that made it special. It was how these elements worked together to form a platform that encouraged individuality. The FXR invited riders to tune, modify, and refine. It became a machine that didn't demand loyalty through marketing, but earned it through capability. Enthusiasts quickly discovered that the FXR responded remarkably well to suspension upgrades, performance exhausts, and even radical visual transformations. What Harley engineers built as a balanced chassis soon became a blank canvas for creativity. The heart of the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR was its stability at high speeds. The triangulated frame design reduced flex to levels unheard of in previous Harleys. This not only improved cornering but also gave riders newfound confidence during long highway stretches. It could glide through sweepers at 70 miles per hour and remain planted, tracking straight even under heavy load or gusting crosswinds. For those accustomed to the gentle sway of older Harley frames, this precision felt revolutionary. It was still a heavyweight cruiser in feel, but it carried itself like something much more advanced. This duality helped the FXR transcend categories, making it both a performance benchmark and a cultural outlier. In the years after its debut, the FXR's influence spread beyond the engineers who built it. Independent builders and custom shops started to notice how well the chassis could handle additional horsepower. The Evolution engine, paired with the rigid frame, provided a stable foundation for performance builds that pushed torque figures without compromising ride quality. Some saw the FXR as a bridge between traditional Harley style and a new kind of American performance ethos. That adaptability made it the motorcycle of choice for those who valued function first but still wanted the unmistakable character of a V-twin. The design philosophy extended to ergonomics and weight distribution. On the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR, engineers achieved near-perfect balance between front and rear mass. The positioning of the transmission, engine mounts, and even the exhaust routing was fine-tuned to maintain symmetry and minimize vibration transfer. Riders described the sensation as refined but not muted. You could still feel the pulse of the engine without the fatigue that often came from prolonged rides on older models. That refinement gave the FXR an identity distinct from both its predecessors and its successors. It became known as the rider's Harley, the one you chose because it worked, not just because it looked the part. Even as Harley-Davidson moved forward with other lines, the FXR's engineering continued to set the standard internally. It showed that a performance-oriented cruiser didn't have to abandon the company's signature DNA. The engineers who worked on it later influenced models that adopted similar principles of stiffness, balance, and reliability. Yet, for all its strengths, the FXR was misunderstood in its own time. Many riders simply weren't ready for a Harley that cornered this well. The conservative market of the 1980s leaned toward comfort and nostalgia, not precision handling. That mismatch between innovation and expectation meant the FXR remained a cult favorite rather than a mainstream bestseller. Still, the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR developed a following that understood its purpose intuitively. Police departments used variations of the FXR platform for patrol duty because of its dependable handling and durability. Long-distance riders appreciated its ability to maintain stability under high load and varying conditions. Customizers fell in love with its structure. It could handle aggressive modifications without compromising geometry. Every group that touched the FXR found something to admire, and that diversity of appeal helped it survive well beyond its official production years. The mechanical excellence of the FXR also changed how Harley approached quality control. During production, tighter weld standards and new frame jigs were implemented to ensure consistency across units. The precision required to build an FXR was higher than most other models in the lineup at the time. That investment in process improvement had ripple effects across Harley's entire manufacturing operation, raising the bar for what would follow. The FXR, in this sense, didn't just revolutionize handling. It helped modernize the company's production mindset. For riders, though, what mattered most was the experience. The 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR wasn't about top speed or flashy chrome. It was about control. You could lean it deeper, stop shorter, and accelerate out of corners with confidence. It handled mountain passes and city streets with the same composure. It invited you to push, to test, to trust. The Evolution engine gave it a broad torque curve that responded with effortless pull at almost any RPM. That made every ride feel alive, yet manageable, a balance rarely achieved in big twins of that era. As the FXR matured, it began to shape the culture around performance Harleys. Builders and enthusiasts formed dedicated communities that celebrated not just the motorcycle but the mindset it represented. For them, the FXR symbolized freedom from the limitations of heavy cruisers without abandoning heritage. It was a technical expression of independence, proof that evolution could come from within tradition. That spirit would later influence the rise of performance baggers and high-end custom builds that borrowed heavily from FXR geometry and philosophy. Even after newer models replaced it in showrooms, the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR refused to fade away. Used models held their value because riders recognized their mechanical purity. Decades later, aftermarket companies continued producing parts and kits specifically for FXR restorations. The demand didn't come from nostalgia alone. It came from genuine respect for how well the bike performed. In an era increasingly dominated by electronics and rider aids, the FXR stood as a reminder that good engineering could achieve balance without digital intervention. Its simplicity became its strength. The legacy of the FXR, especially the 1984 model that started it all, lies in its blend of precision and personality. It represented a moment when Harley-Davidson redefined what it meant to be American-made. Not just loud and proud, but technically competent and world-class. It proved that rebellion could coexist with refinement. For many riders, swinging a leg over an FXR wasn't just about owning a Harley. It was about participating in a chapter of mechanical history that refused to settle for mediocrity. The FXR demanded to be ridden hard, maintained with care, and respected for the purpose it fulfilled so completely. By the time enthusiasts realized what the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR truly represented, It had already achieved something rare in motorcycling: enduring respect built on performance, not nostalgia. When production ended in the mid-1990s, fans treated it less as a discontinued model and more as a lost benchmark. That sense of unfinished business fueled a resurgence that would grow stronger every year. Riders began searching out used FXRs, restoring them, modifying them, and bringing them to life in ways the original engineers might never have imagined. The FXR had transcended the usual product cycle. It became a legend through merit and community. The essence of the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR was never about dominance or exclusivity. It was about balance. Its geometry, power delivery, and composure created a harmony few motorcycles could match. It didn't need aggressive styling to prove its point. It delivered its message through the way it handled, through the confidence it inspired. Many owners who came from sportier machines found themselves drawn to the FXR because it offered control without losing identity. It gave them that familiar Harley pulse, but with the reassurance of a finely tuned chassis beneath it. That confidence translated into new forms of expression. Custom builders took the FXR platform and pushed it into uncharted territory. Club-style performance builds, stripped-down street machines, and even long-distance tourers that retained agility. Each project reflected a belief that the FXR could handle almost anything thrown at it. Its engineering foundation was that solid. That adaptability explains why the FXR never truly vanished. Even after other Harley models took center stage, the FXR remained the go-to frame for those chasing precision and authenticity. As years passed, Harley-Davidson itself began to feel the pull of the FXR's legacy. Modern engineers and designers studied it, acknowledging that its proportions and rigidity set standards still difficult to surpass. The FXR became a teaching tool, a reference point for what happens when engineering takes precedence over marketing. Every time a new Harley aims to combine comfort, control, and torque, echoes of the FXR resonate in its DNA. The company may have moved toward larger touring platforms and technology-heavy cruisers, but inside every balanced frame, there is a whisper of the 1984 model's brilliance. For the riding community, the FXR represented self-determination. It was the motorcycle that rewarded skill rather than status. Riders who took the time to learn its dynamics discovered how connected they could feel to the machine. It demanded precision from the rider just as it delivered it in return. That feedback loop created loyalty of a different kind, one rooted in respect, not image. Even among newer generations who grew up surrounded by digital aids, the FXR holds an almost mythic appeal. It's tactile, mechanical, and honest. Nothing about it hides behind software or modes. It's a conversation between human and machine. Collectors began treating the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR as a cornerstone of performance evolution. Restorations became a craft in themselves, with builders sourcing original parts or recreating discontinued components. Some workshops dedicated themselves exclusively to FXRs, preserving their geometry while improving suspension, braking, and tuning through modern materials. The result was a revival that kept the spirit alive while enhancing usability. This blending of old and new proved that the FXR wasn't stuck in the past. It was simply ahead of its time. The geometry and engineering choices that once seemed radical now form the foundation of modern custom culture. Within Harley circles, the FXR started being called the rider's bike, a nickname that captured its essence better than any marketing phrase could. Those who rode one knew exactly why. It cornered predictably, accelerated with confidence, and never punished mistakes. It was forgiving but still thrilling, simple yet sophisticated. You could spend hours carving through back roads or cruising across states, and step off feeling energized rather than exhausted. That kind of experience builds devotion, not just admiration. And it's why, even decades later, FXRs command a loyal following across every corner of the motorcycle scene. What makes the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR enduring is that it didn't just perform, it inspired. It gave Harley-Davidson a second chance to prove it could lead through engineering excellence. When the company reintroduced limited FXR-inspired models years later, they weren't just cashing in on nostalgia. They were paying tribute to a pivotal moment when Harley's future depended on bold innovation. The FXR taught the brand that evolution was possible without losing identity, that progress could coexist with heritage. Every rider who fires one up today participates in that lesson. Even with all the modern technology available now, ride-by-wire throttles, cornering ABS, traction systems, few bikes capture the FXR's mechanical honesty. Its analog nature keeps it alive in the digital age. Every bolt, weld, and vibration connects you to the intention behind its design. There's no filter, no algorithm between the rider and the road. That directness is what enthusiasts seek in a world where so much of performance feels simulated. The FXR remains proof that craftsmanship, when done right, never expires. The FXR's influence also extended to the broader custom movement that flourished in the 2000s and 2010s. Builders and riders who valued performance over ornamentation adopted its principles. Narrower frames, improved lean angles, and high-quality suspension setups became standard in performance Harley builds. What began with the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR's triangulated frame turned into a design philosophy embraced across the industry. It set the template for how to make an American motorcycle handle without sacrificing its signature feel. And that, ultimately, is why it continues to matter. Not just as a piece of history, but as an ongoing source of inspiration for those who build, ride, and innovate. The legacy of the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR continues to ripple through motorcycling decades after its debut. Its influence reaches far beyond collectors and performance enthusiasts. It shapes how the entire community understands what a Harley can be. When the FXR first appeared, it represented a new kind of rebellion, one rooted in engineering rather than image. That foundation still resonates today because it reminds riders that progress doesn't have to mean abandoning identity. The FXR balanced power with grace, attitude with precision, and freedom with control. That combination remains rare even in the modern era of computer-assisted motorcycles. To appreciate the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR fully, one has to consider the context of its creation. It arrived at a time when Harley-Davidson was fighting for survival and credibility. Competitors were advancing quickly with lighter frames, refined engines, and precise handling. Instead of surrendering to nostalgia, Harley's engineers built something forward-looking. The FXR was not a reinvention of the brand. It was a reclamation of purpose. It took everything riders loved about Harley, the torque, the sound, the presence, and packaged it inside a structure that could actually compete on performance. It was proof that American engineering could stand shoulder to shoulder with the best in the world. Today, riding an FXR still feels different. You sense the care in its geometry, the honesty in its mechanics, the deliberate restraint in its design. It has no need for excess. It doesn't overwhelm with technology or gimmicks. Instead, it communicates through feedback. Subtle vibrations through the pegs, the steady hum of the Evolution engine, the stability when leaning into long curves. That tactile experience connects riders to the machine in a way few modern bikes manage. It's not about nostalgia. It's about authenticity. The FXR shows that a motorcycle can age without losing relevance when it's built on solid fundamentals. The community around the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR continues to grow because it represents something every rider values: connection. Riders share tuning tips, restoration advice, and road stories not because of brand loyalty alone but because the FXR feels like common ground. It bridges generations of motorcyclists. Older riders respect its engineering. Younger ones admire its versatility and timeless look. Custom builders still use the FXR frame as the gold standard for performance-oriented Harleys, and aftermarket support remains strong decades later. That ongoing passion keeps the story alive, ensuring the FXR's legacy never fades into museum nostalgia. In a broader sense, the FXR also marks a turning point in Harley-Davidson's philosophy. It proved that change, when guided by respect for the past, could lead to renewal rather than loss. Every major step Harley took afterward, from refining engines to rethinking suspension geometry, owed something to the lessons learned during the FXR era. The company's engineers rediscovered their pride in innovation through this model. And riders, in turn, rediscovered faith that Harley-Davidson could evolve with the times without losing its signature feel. If there's one message the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR leaves behind, it's that performance and personality are not opposites. They're partners. The FXR's enduring appeal lies in its ability to make riders feel both empowered and connected. It invites confidence without arrogance, offering a level of control that amplifies rather than replaces the human element. For a machine built in an era of uncertainty, it has become a symbol of balance between man and machine, heritage and progress, rebellion and refinement. That's what makes it not just a motorcycle from the past, but a timeless standard. As we close the story of the 1984 Harley-Davidson FXR, one truth stands out. Innovation rarely comes from comfort. It comes from necessity, courage, and the willingness to question old assumptions. Harley-Davidson took that risk when it created the FXR, and the reward is still evident every time one fires up today. The FXR isn't a relic. It's a reminder. It reminds us that great design doesn't fade, that authenticity never goes out of style, and that sometimes, the boldest act of rebellion is building something that simply works better. The road has changed, but the FXR's message remains the same. Ride with purpose, ride with pride, and never stop refining what freedom feels like.